Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win tonight. White, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win.
What is going on, YouTube? We are back for another video on the Turn Up the Jets YouTube channel. I am your host, as always, Joe Scurto, aka Turn Up the Jets. Before we get into the video, please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Much appreciated there. Like the video if you actually liked it. And you could also follow me on social media platforms as Twitter and Instagram at Turn Up the Jets, all one word. All the support is much appreciated. You see the title of the video. It's about Zach Wilson, a guy I haven't really talked about as much as everyone else, particularly on this channel. So, of course, I made this channel right in the midst, I think, of the rumblings that the Jets potentially could get a Rodgers or a Carr or whatnot. But I haven't really talked about Zach Wilson too much, and I really want to dive into it because his name is being brought up probably more than anybody other than, like, you know, the stars, as in Rodgers and Wilson and a Breece Hall return and Quinnen Williams. A lot of people hyping up Zach Wilson, and I just want to give my opinion. It might not be popular right now in the Jets community, but this is just how I feel, and I figured, you know, I needed an idea before doing the kind of recap of the first episode of Hard Knocks, which will be released on Wednesday. Hard Knocks on Tuesday. Today is One Jets Drive, so it's going to be a lot of fun, but I am going to do recaps of each Hard Knocks episode, so that will be on Wednesday. And I thought, hey, I might as well fill the people in of what my opinion is right now on Zach Wilson's future. Look at 2021, I wanted Zach Wilson. I wanted Zach Wilson more than anyone else in the draft that wasn't named Trevor Lawrence. And of course, we knew Trevor Lawrence was going number one. We can thank Adam Gase of screwing that up, even though we would have had to deal with an 0-16 season. You know, there was a lot of complications there. Anyway, I really liked Zach Wilson's talent. Yes, BYU, it made me a little skeptical. And of course, you could go to the route of, hey, look what happened to Steve Young. And Steve Young did develop into a great, one of the greater, I would say, mobile quarterbacks to ever do it. Easily probably the best lefty quarterback ever to do it. And he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl champion. But for Zach Wilson, I liked all the skill sets he had. He was that modern day quarterback, right? He could scramble. He could throw on the run. He could make those unscripted throws, as you will, as everybody just abuses that Patrick Mahomes type of throws. But that's what you liked about him. You liked his strong arm. His raw arm talent was off the charts, and he ripped it up in really his only year as the starter. He dealt with injuries for BYU, and then he won the quarterback competition in the 2020 season. He absolutely ripped it up. It was arguably one of, if not the best quarterback in the country that year. And BYU they had one of the better seasons that they had in a long time. This kid had 30-plus touchdowns. He only had 2 interceptions, I believe. And that's the thing you liked about him too. His decision-making was very, very good. He threw little to none interceptions despite being very aggressive. They threw him in the fire in 2021. This was a bad Jets roster. It was a rookie head coach, but it was a roster that was, you know, had the right vision, but they were full rebuild mode in 2021. They didn't get a veteran until late with Joe Flacco, and they should have started a veteran right off the bat. Zach was a raw prospect coming in. He only had one really full season of being a week-to-week starter. Yes, he thrived, but this is not Coastal Carolina that he's going up against. This is the Buffalo Bills. This is the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the New England Patriots. These are legitimate NFL teams that are a lot better. Let's just say the game is faster. The talent is stronger. The game is more difficult. So they kind of threw this kid under the fire. And of course, as a fan base, you want to see him right away. But at the same time, you would have liked to see a Joe Flacco go in and play the first couple of games. Because in 2020, Joe Flacco wasn't terrible. Obviously, his performance didn't result in wins, but I don't think it was going to result in wins anyway because they didn't really result much in wins when you had Zach Wilson out there. But despite the fact with that, is they win started Zach Wilson. Obviously, ultimately end up getting hurt in that just shit show of a game against New England. Mike White came. Mike White had the famous Mike White game as they upset the Cincinnati Bengals. And then you saw a little Joe Flacco. But then you go back to Zach Wilson. And the thing was, the end of the 2021 season, when Zach Wilson came back, he got better each week. And he did a better job of not turning over the football. And they were in games. They were in the game all through the entirety of it against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were in the game even in the last week of week 18 against the Buffalo Bills. He got better each week. His decision-making got better each week, and even his confidence looked like it got better each week. 2022, I'm going to speed this up. 2022, he gets injured in game 1 of the preseason against the Philadelphia Eagles. He really dodges a bullet. People think he tears his ACL. People even thought he tore his meniscus. I believe I don't think he tore his meniscus, but he hurt his meniscus. He didn't hurt his ACL. So he dodged a bullet there. He's out a few weeks, and he ultimately misses the first 2 games of the season. First 3 games of the season, sorry. So he misses the Ravens game, the Cleveland game, and the Cincinnati game. Comes in week 4 against the Steelers. Has 2 picks, has a touchdown catch, and also drives down the Jets at the end of the game for a double-digit comeback in a game-winning drive with just seconds remaining. We're off the charts. But then it just gets bad, right? We know the rest of the story, how it goes. Zach Wilson just had a putrid year. He was easily the worst. He was the 33rd ranked quarterback last season. There's 32 teams in the league, so do the math there. He was not good. We all know that. I don't have to keep saying that he was not good last year. We know that, and that's why the Jets became available in the market for a quarterback. They go get Aaron Rodgers. Ultimately, Zach Wilson's, Roma, right when he got drafted. Rodgers. That was his guy growing up. That's what he wanted to model his game after. And then they created that mini relationship in the 2021 season when they had those, jointed practices that they had in Lambeau Field. So they get Rodgers. And now it's, okay, what do we do with Zach Wilson? Well, if I were to ask you in January, I think 95% of those people who probably were also 95% of those people that were at that Jaguars game, probably booing the shit out of Zach Wilson, would say they want nothing to do with him anymore. He's done. He's a bust. They should have took Justin Fields. You make all the excuses, right? I bet I could speak for most people that when they went and lost 6 straight games, nobody wanted Zach Wilson to be the quarterback year 3. Nobody. But now Rodgers is here. And I just think it's kind of funny. There's a lot of recency bias here. And there's no hate on Zach Wilson. I hope Zach Wilson is a great player. But I think we just got to save the energy, because if he is a great player, no matter what, it's not going to be for the Jets. It literally won't be. The time map doesn't match up here for Zach Wilson to be this promising quarterback in New York. It's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. If we're talking about wanting Rodgers for 2 to 3 years, which looks very realistic, unless something bad happens or something really good happens, Rodgers is going to be here 2 years minimum. He even flirted with the idea of potentially more. We're saying 3 to 4. Wilson has 2 years left in his deal. There's no chance in hell that they're paying that mark for a 5th-year option. They're not going to do it. Why would they? The 2 years he played, his stats matched up to Jamarcus Russell's. I've seen that graphic every damn day on Twitter. They were that bad. And the crazy thing is, he was that bad and the team still won games. So that just shows this time, 2021, give him the benefit of the doubt. He got thrown in the fire. But 2022, they're a good team. Honestly, if they started Mike White all year, they probably would have made the playoffs, which is kind of crazy to think about. Hypothetical, yes, but somewhat accurate. But the same people who are calling for Chris Streveler to come in the game for Zach Wilson or Flacco or Mike White now suddenly think he's the franchise guy because he went 3 for 5 with 60-plus yards in a preseason game and because he's looked good in camp because he has Aaron Rodgers. Of course, he could be a good quarterback, but he's not the future of the New York Jets. He's just not. It's a pipe dream. I feel like we've wasted a lot of energy on him the first 2 years, and we continued to do it. You know, he looks great and blah, blah, blah. He's the new guy. He's a new quarterback. He threw 8 times or 5 times, not even 8 times. He threw 5 passes. He threw 5 passes. It was a screen pass. It was especially that deep route he threw that Aaron Rodgers supposedly called the play. So basically 80% of his yardage came from that one play. Was it a great throw? Of course it was a great throw. He went through his reads. He didn't panic. Did he look more comfortable? Yeah, but it's the most minuscule sample size. And if we're going to get all, you know, kind of hyped up with training camp, I just don't buy it. We've seen him have solid training camps. You know, Wilson wasn't having these atrocious training camps. They just didn't translate into the games. Does he look more comfortable? Of course. But Zach Wilson is not the future of the Jets. The time does not match up. So can we just please just stop with this? It's over. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. Literally. It's over. We had our 2 years. It failed miserably. Let's focus on Aaron Rodgers. The only way that Zach Wilson could prove to us he's the future if Aaron Rodgers literally has a season-ending injury and he has to start the whole year, which is the worst scenario on the planet, whatever the hell. You know what I mean? That's really the only scenario. You're not going to extend his contract. You're not. And you're not going to be able to trade him. That contract's expired. He's a free agent, and a team's going to take a chance on him. Basically what the Panthers did minus the trade. Let's take a chance on him. Maybe he got better behind Aaron Rodgers. Swing for the fences and see where that goes. It could happen. Your players switch teams from where they're drafted and end up doing well. It's really the Ryan Tannehill effect. It could happen. But like Zach Wilson is not going to be on the New York Jets in the next 2 years. When Rodgers is gone, so is Wilson. It's just the hard truth. Like anyone who says that Wilson is the future of the Jets, I don't buy it. Like we're so keyed on paying players. Like we don't want to pay Wilson. We don't want to get Dalvin Cook if he's too expensive, right? We didn't want to get DeAndre Hopkins if he's too expensive. But we're going to pay $20 million, 5th-year option for Zach Wilson, who has what, like 11 touchdowns to 18 interceptions, something around those lines. He hasn't had a good career. There's a reason why the Jets go get Aaron Rodgers. If Wilson even shows you the slightest of improvement, the Jets are 9-8, and even if Rodgers is available, the Jets aren't in on him. But he was so bad. He needs a whole reset. So a guy who hasn't played in 2 years at that time when Rodgers retires, he's our future? No, I don't buy it. It's not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. It's disappointing. You can call me a hater. I don't think I'm hating. I think this is just a realistic explanation here. And I don't care how he's looked in training camp. Let this guy play almost every single preseason snap. I don't want to see Chris Trevler out there ever again. I don't think he deserves to be on the team. Awful. It was 1 for 7 with an interception. He was terrible. And that was the guy that we wanted to start over Zach Wilson, right? When he was doing atrocious in Jacksonville, we wanted Trevler over Wilson. Now suddenly Wilson is going to be freaking Aaron Rodgers because he threw 5 passes and he's been pretty good in practice. Who cares? Let's see him out there every snap in the preseason. Yeah, you give Tim Boyle a few snaps. Zach Wilson should be playing the whole half. I can't believe they didn't play him the entire half. Are we really worrying about the injuries? No, this is what do you got with this dude? Is he even worth rostering? Is he worth being the lone backup quarterback? There's question mark after question mark. I don't care if he threw a good ball in practice. Let's see him against another defense. Why are we taking him out early? Why did he only play one quarter? So we can overreact on 5 passes? No, I want to see him play a whole half. Carolina this Saturday, I hope we see him play a whole half. And I hope he does well. He could be a valuable backup for the Jets. And that's what the Jets got to see. Because God forbid if Aaron Rodgers goes down, There's a difference of having a backup who can kind of do the job for a few weeks, or a guy you don't trust, and your season goes from here to in the shitter very quickly. It's just a reality. So Wilson should play a lot more in the preseason. We should temper our expectations, and we should realize that he is not going to be the Jets' future starting quarterback unless something terribly wrong goes with Aaron Rodgers, which would be the worst-case scenario. I hope the kid succeeds. I'm not hating. It's just a realistic fact. He's not going to be the Jets' future. We passed that train. When Rodgers retires, they're going to have to go draft another guy. Or even if things go wrong with Rodgers, that regime is gone. Saleh is gone. Douglas is gone. If things go totally shitty, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Rodgers stays healthy, and I think the Jets are a very good football team this year. But this is just all hypothetical. They're not going to stick with Zach Wilson. A new regime is not going to stick to Zach Wilson, as the new regime did not want to stick with Sam Darnold. Understandably so, obviously. So for me, I want to see more of Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson being the Jets' future quarterback. I can never say that, even though I just said it, but I can never mean that. I don't think it's happening. I think we passed that train. It's done. We got to accept the reality here. We got to be happy that Aaron Rodgers is a Jet. Like, the time is now. We're done waiting on a development of a quarterback. I'm done just talking about development for Zach Wilson in general. The worry is Aaron Rodgers stays on the field and we protect him, and he's going to ball out, and this defense is going to be a top 5 unit, and the Jets win 11 to 12 games. That's what we should be talking about. I think it's just preseason hype, of course, but I don't know. That for his future, he's not a Jet. And that's my way of saying it in a 17-minute video. Probably could have been in a 5-minute video. But that's just how I feel. Love it, hate it. I know a lot of people probably will hate this video. Again, I'm not hating. I'm a diehard Jets fan, man, just like everyone else who's hopefully supporting the channel. But I just, let Zach Wilson play more in the preseason, and let's just chill out with saying that he's the future and, all this. The development, yeah, it's great. It's great for the player, but it doesn't mean anything for the organization. There's just not a world that I could picture that Zach Wilson is still in the Jets in 3 years and is the starting quarterback. It just doesn't add up. The contract doesn't add up. We're 1 year off. Business is business. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up here. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you actually like it. I bet you probably a lot of people don't like this video, but that's okay. We'll get to a video on Wednesday that you will like. I'm going to recap Hard Knocks. Very excited for tomorrow's episode on HBO Max, or just Max now, supposedly what it's called. Also, follow me on social media platforms at Turn Up the Jets. All one word on Twitter and Instagram. We'll see you Wednesday.
Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight.